The massive council chamber fell silent as Ambassador Zexgary's words echoed through the crystalline halls of the Galactic Assembly. The towering alien stood at the center podium, his 6 arms trembling slightly as he addressed the 1,000 representatives from across known space. Honored council members, Zexgary began, his voice carrying the weight of terrible news. 3 rotations ago, my fleet engaged what we believed to be a primitive species on the 3rd planet of the Sol system. We expected easy conquest. Murmurs rippled through the assembly. The Kethmoran Empire was known throughout the galaxy as one of the most feared military forces. Their bioships could dissolve entire fleets with acid clouds, and their warriors were bred for war from birth. If Zexgary was here requesting emergency council intervention, something had gone very wrong. Council Speaker Vorthak, an ancient being whose crystalline body had witnessed the rise and fall of countless civilizations, leaned forward on his throne. "Continue, Ambassador. What happened to your fleet?" Zexgary's mandibles clicked nervously. "We lost everything, Honored Speaker. 700 bioships, our finest breeding warriors, 3 planetary siege platforms, all destroyed by these humans." The word humans sent a chill through the assembly. Most council members had never heard of this species. Earth was located in what they considered the galactic backwater, a region so remote and primitive that no civilization bothered to explore it. "Impossible," declared War Master Thulgon of the Razak Confederacy. His massive frame dwarfed even the intimidating Zexgary. "Your empire has conquered 47 star systems. How could primitives defeat you?" Zexgary activated his personal holoprojector, filling the chamber's center with images that made several council members recoil in horror. The recordings showed human ships, crude-looking metal constructs that seemed laughably primitive compared to the elegant biotechnology of the Kethmoran fleet. "They are called humans," Zexgary continued, his voice growing more strained. "We monitored their communications before attack. They appear to be a young species, barely 500 rotations past their first atomic weapons. We expected to harvest their world within a single-day cycle." The hologram shifted to show the initial engagement. Massive Kethmoran bioships, each the size of a small moon, emerged from hyperspace around Earth. Their organic hulls pulsed with bioluminescent patterns as they prepared to release the standard conquest protocol, atmospheric toxins that would weaken the population while preserving the planet's resources. "At first, everything proceeded normally," Zexgary admitted. "Their primitive metal ships approached our fleet. We detected no significant energy signatures, no plasma weapons, no gravity manipulators. Their vessels appeared to be propelled by controlled chemical explosions. Truly primitive." Council member Yilandra of the Psion Collective shifted uncomfortably in her floating meditation pod. Her species could read emotions across space, and she was sensing something deeply disturbing in the ambassador's psychic emanations. "But then," prompted Speaker Vorthak, "they opened fire," Zexgary said simply. The hologram showed streams of what appeared to be simple metal projectiles streaming from the human ships toward the massive biovessels. Several council members actually laughed at the apparent futility of the attack. "Metal slugs against bioarmor?" scoffed Thulgon. "What did they hope to achieve?" "That is what we thought," Zexgary replied grimly, until the first bioship exploded. The laughter died instantly. The hologram zoomed in on one of the massive Kethmoran vessels as hundreds of what the humans called kinetic penetrators struck its hull. Instead of bouncing off harmlessly, the metal projectiles tore through the bioarmor like it was soft flesh. "Impossible," breathed Council Member Nexium of the Tech Union. "Bioarmor can withstand plasma charges, gravity bombs, even stellar radiation. How could simple metal penetrate it?" Zexgary's expression grew haunted. "Velocity, honored members. Pure, devastating velocity." These humans had somehow accelerated simple metal to nearly 10% of light speed. The kinetic energy was unimaginable. The chamber erupted in shocked murmurs. Most civilizations had abandoned kinetic weapons millions of rotations ago in favor of energy-based systems. The idea of returning to such primitive concepts was absurd to them. One ship, Zexcary continued, managed to record the humans' internal communications before being destroyed. Their language was crude, but their meaning was clear. They called our bioships soft targets and expressed surprise that we had not developed what they termed proper armor. Speaker Vorthak's crystalline form flickered with alarm patterns. How many human vessels participated in this engagement? 12, Zexcary whispered. 12 ships destroyed our entire invasion fleet. The silence that followed was deafening. Council member Siltheri of the Observer Cast had remained silent throughout Zexcary's testimony, but now her multiple eyes focused intently on the ambassador. Her species had spent eons studying warfare patterns across the galaxy, and something about this report felt fundamentally wrong. Ambassador, she said, her voice carrying harmonics that translated as deep concern, you mentioned they called your vessels soft targets. This implies they expected harder ones. What defensive capabilities do these humans possess? Zexcary's form seemed to shrink as he accessed another series of recordings. After our fleet was destroyed, my survival pod drifted in their system for several rotations before rescue. During this time, I observed their homeworld more closely. The hologram shifted to show Earth from orbit, but this view was different from the peaceful blue world the Council had expected. The planet's surface crawled with activity that became more disturbing as the resolution increased. They have covered their world in weapons, Zexcary said flatly. Not just military installations, honored members. Every population center, every industrial complex, every transport hub is integrated into a planetary defense network that defies comprehension. War Master Thulgon leaned forward aggressively. Explain. Their cities themselves are weapons platforms. Buildings that appear to be simple habitation structures can extend massive railgun arrays within moments. Their civilian transport vessels carry military-grade weaponry as standard equipment. Even their educational facilities for their young are equipped with defensive systems that could destroy our light cruisers. The council chamber filled with disturbed chittering and electronic harmonics as various species expressed their shock in their native tongues. But most disturbing, Zexcary continued, was their response to our attack. Instead of the expected fear and surrender, they immediately began what they termed strategic escalation planning. Meaning, asked Speaker Vorthak, they began preparing to hunt down our homeworld. The statement hit the assembly like a physical blow. In the galactic community, warfare followed established protocols. Planets were conquered or defended, but the concept of a recently contacted species immediately planning counter-invasion was unprecedented. Within 2 of their rotations, they had launched deep space reconnaissance probes following the hyperspace trail left by our retreat vectors. Their technology may appear primitive, but their manufacturing capacity is beyond anything we have encountered. The hologram now showed human shipyards in the asteroid belt between their 4th and 5th planets. Massive industrial complexes stretched for thousands of kilometers, churning out vessels at an impossible rate. How is this possible? Demanded Tech Union Representative Nexium. Our intelligence indicated they had barely achieved fusion power. They have, Zexcary replied, but they use it differently than we do. Instead of focusing on elegant energy manipulation like civilized species, they have weaponized industrial production itself. Their entire solar system has been converted into a military-industrial complex that can produce warships faster than our biofoundries can grow them. Council member Yelander's psychic readings were becoming increasingly alarmed. Ambassador, what are their intentions regarding your homeworld? Zexcary's mandibles clicked in what his species used to express terminal fear. I intercepted one of their military communications. A human commander was briefing her subordinates about something they called Operation Reciprocity. The translation was clear. They wanted to see how soft targets handle kinetic bombardment. Let's show them what happens when real weapons meet real targets. Real weapons? Questioned Vorthak. They consider everything we used against them to be biological toys, honored speaker. According to their tactical assessments, Our bioships were equivalent to what they call ancient naval vessels from their pre-space era. They expressed confusion about why we had not developed what they termed serious military technology. The chamber erupted in outraged voices. The biotechnology of the Kethmoran Empire represented millions of years of evolution and refinement. To dismiss it as primitive was beyond insulting. What do they consider serious military technology? Thulgon growled. Zexcari activated another recording, this one showing human weapons tests in their outer system. The assembly watched in horrified fascination as human ships demonstrated something they called relativistic bombardment systems. They accelerate asteroids to near light speed and use them as planetary siege weapons, Zexcari explained. But that is not the worst part. They have also developed something they call stellar engineering weapons. They can artificially destabilize stars. Complete silence filled the chamber. Stellar manipulation was considered a theoretical science practiced only by the most ancient civilizations, if at all. The idea that a species barely past their first atomic weapons could weaponize stellar mechanics was incomprehensible. There is more, Zexcari continued, his voice now barely above a whisper. They're not coming alone. They have been broadcasting our attack recordings across their communication networks, along with detailed tactical analyses. They are treating our invasion as what they call a proof of concept for galactic-scale threats. What does that mean? Asked Silthari. It means, honored council member, that they view our attack not as an isolated incident, but as evidence that their solar system needs to be defended against the entire galaxy. They are preparing for what they call total galactic war. The implications hung in the air like a toxic cloud. A species that could destroy an entire Kethmoran fleet with 12 ships was now preparing to treat the entire galactic community as a potential threat. And they were heading toward Kethmoran space with weapons that could kill stars. The emergency session had lasted 3 rotations when the first reports began flooding into the Galactic Council chambers. Observer stations along the Perseus arm were detecting massive hyperspace distortions moving toward Kethmoran territory at unprecedented speeds. Honored Speaker, announced Communications Officer Telvanni, her voice tight with barely controlled panic. Long-range sensors are detecting what appears to be a human fleet. The energy signatures are unlike anything in our databases. Speaker Vorthax, crystalline form pulsed with alarm patterns. How many vessels? We cannot determine exact numbers, sir. The humans appear to have developed some form of hyperspace technology that interferes with our scanning methods. Our best estimates suggest between 50 and 300 ships, but the readings are inconsistent. War Master Thulgon rose from his seat, his massive frame radiating aggressive confidence. 300 primitive ships against the combined might of our alliance fleets? This is not a crisis. It is an opportunity to demonstrate galactic superiority. Ambassador Zexcari's mandibles clicked frantically. War Master, you do not understand. These humans do not think like civilized species. They do not follow conventional military doctrine. All military doctrine is universal, Thulgon declared dismissively. Superior numbers, advanced technology, strategic positioning. The fundamentals never change. That is exactly what I told my fleet commanders, Zexcari replied grimly. 3 rotations later, they were all dead. Before Thulgon could respond, alarms began sounding throughout the council chamber. Emergency holographic displays activated, showing real-time tactical information from the conflict zone. Honored members, Telvanni announced, her voice now openly alarmed. The human fleet has just dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the Kethmoran home system. They are not behaving as expected. The tactical display showed the human fleet arranged in a formation that confused every military analyst present. Instead of the traditional battle formations used by galactic civilizations, the human ships were spread across impossible distances, creating a sphere around the entire Kethmoran system that was several light hours in diameter. What are they doing? Demanded Councilmember Nexium. That formation provides no tactical advantages and leaves them vulnerable to concentrated attack. Zexcari studied the display, with growing horror. "They are not preparing to attack the system," he whispered. "They are preparing to contain it." "Contain it?" asked Siltheri. "For what purpose?" Before anyone could answer, the communications array intercepted a transmission from the human fleet. The message was broadcast on all standard galactic frequencies, translated into every known language simultaneously. "Attention Kethmoran Empire and Associated Galactic Council members. This is Admiral Sarachun of the United Earth Defense Fleet. You initiated hostilities against our homeworld without provocation or warning. Under the laws of war as we understand them, this constitutes an act of genocide attempt." The chamber fell silent. The human voice was calm, professional, and utterly terrifying in its matter-of-fact delivery. "We have come to your system to demonstrate why attacking Earth was a mistake. You will observe the following demonstration and, then, be given an opportunity to explain your actions to the appropriate authorities." "Appropriate authorities?" muttered Vorthak. "They speak as if they're the dominant power here." The tactical display suddenly showed new contacts appearing throughout the Kethmoran system. Hundreds of small objects were materializing near every planet, space station, and artificial construct in the system. "What are those?" asked Yelandra, her psychic abilities detecting something deeply wrong with the situation. Zexkari's form began trembling uncontrollably. "Probes," he whispered. "Reconnaissance and targeting probes. They're mapping everything in the system down to individual buildings." Admiral Chen's voice continued with the same terrifying calm. "We have placed passive observation devices throughout your system. These devices are recording detailed information about your infrastructure, population centers, defensive capabilities, and resource distribution. This information is being transmitted to our strategic planning division in real time." The meaning was becoming clear, and it sent chills through every member of the council. The humans were not here to fight a battle. They were here to conduct a comprehensive military analysis of an entire star system. "In the interest of proportional response," Admiral Chun continued, "we will now demonstrate one of our standard planetary siege weapons. Please observe." One of the human ships, barely visible as a distant speck on the tactical display, suddenly began accelerating toward one of Kethmoran's outer mining worlds. But instead of approaching the planet directly, the ship began a complex gravity-assisted trajectory that used the system's gas giant as a massive slingshot. "They are accelerating toward the 7th planet," reported Telvanni. "But their trajectory is impossible. They are using gravitational mechanics in ways our computers cannot predict." The human ship disappeared from conventional sensors as its velocity increased beyond anything the Galactic Council had thought possible. When it reappeared on their screens, it was no longer a ship. "Honored members," Telvanni's voice was now openly terrified, "the human vessel appears to have converted itself into a relativistic projectile. Current velocity is approximately 37% of light speed and still increasing." The mining world had no time to react. The impact released more energy than the combined arsenals of 20 galactic civilizations. The planet simply ceased to exist, replaced by an expanding cloud of superheated plasma that would be visible from neighboring systems. "One ship," Admiral Chen's voice continued conversationally, "one planet. We have 47 more ships in positions to duplicate this demonstration against each of your remaining worlds. However, we prefer communication to destruction." The chamber was completely silent now. Every member of the Galactic Council was trying to process what they had just witnessed. A species had just used one of their own ships as ammunition to destroy an entire world, and they spoke about it as casually as discussing the weather. "We are prepared to discuss terms for avoiding further demonstrations," Admiral Chen announced. "However, these discussions will not take place with military representatives or political leaders. We wish to speak with whoever makes decisions regarding unprovoked attacks on inhabited worlds. You have one of your rotations to produce these individuals." The transmission ended, leaving the council chamber in stunned silence. War Master Thulgon's aggressive posture had completely evaporated. "They use their own ship as a weapon," he said quietly. "What kind of species does that?" Zexcari looked up at the assembled council with eyes that had seen too much. The kind that views their ships, their resources, and their lives as merely tools to be used for victory. Honored members, I do not think we understand what we are dealing with. The emergency council session had extended into its sixth rotation when the decision was finally made. Speaker Vorthak would personally travel to the Kethmoran system to establish formal first contact with the human fleet. The irony was not lost on anyone present that first contact protocols were being initiated after a military engagement rather than peaceful exploration. This is unprecedented, Council member Yelandra observed as the diplomatic vessel prepared for departure. We have never negotiated with a species from a position of disadvantage. Ambassador Zexcari, who had volunteered to accompany the diplomatic mission despite his obvious trauma, clicked his mandibles nervously. Honored Speaker, I must emphasize again that these humans do not think like us. Our normal diplomatic protocols may not apply. All intelligent species respond to logic and reason, Vorthak replied with the confidence of someone who had mediated disputes for millennia. We will explain that the attack on their world was an unfortunate misunderstanding. Reparations can be negotiated, territorial boundaries established, and peace treaties signed according to standard galactic law. The diplomatic vessel, a beautiful crystalline construction that had been used for peaceful first contact for thousands of years, emerged from hyperspace at the edge of the Kethmoran system. Immediately, their sensors detected the human fleet maintaining its impossible sphere formation around the entire star system. Incoming transmission, announced the ship's communication officer. The voice that filled the bridge was different from Admiral Chen's, but carried the same unsettling calm. Galactic Council Vessel, this is Captain Maria Santos of the UEDF Reconnaissance Division. We have been monitoring your approach and are prepared to facilitate diplomatic contact. However, standard protocols require that we inform you of current tactical situation. Current tactical situation? Vorthak asked, somewhat confused. As of this moment, every artificial construct in this system is targeted by our siege weapons. Every population center has been mapped and analyzed. Every defensive installation has been identified and countered. This information is being provided to ensure complete transparency during negotiations. The diplomatic party exchanged worried glances. In galactic diplomacy, military threats during peace talks were considered barbaric. Yet the human was stating these facts as if they were routine administrative details. We appreciate your transparency, Vorthak replied carefully. We have come to discuss the unfortunate incident that occurred in your solar system. The Galactic Council wishes to establish peaceful relations and provide appropriate compensation for any damages. There was a long pause before Captain Santos responded. Speaker Vorthak, we have analyzed your species' translation matrices and governmental structures. We believe there may be fundamental misunderstandings regarding the nature of this situation. Please explain. You refer to the unprovoked attack on our home world as an unfortunate incident. Our analysis indicates this terminology suggests accidental contact or miscommunication. However, our intelligence data shows that the Kethmoran Empire has conducted identical attacks on 47 other worlds, with successful conquest and subjugation in each case. The bridge fell silent. The humans had somehow obtained detailed intelligence on Kethmoran military history that was not public knowledge even within the Galactic Council. This raises several questions, Captain Santos continued. First, if the Galactic Council was unaware of systematic conquest campaigns by member civilizations, this suggests serious gaps in your governmental oversight. Second, if the Council was aware, but chose not to intervene, this suggests the galactic community considers such actions acceptable under certain circumstances. Ambassador Zexcari's form was trembling now. Honored Speaker, he whispered, they have been studying us. They know everything about our military campaigns, our governmental structures, our entire civilization. We would like to clarify which situation we are dealing with, Captain Santos announced. Please report to coordinates we are transmitting for face-to-face diplomatic contact. The coordinates led to a massive human ship that dwarfed their diplomatic vessel. As they approached, the true scale of human engineering became apparent. The ship was not built for elegance or efficiency like galactic vessels. It was built for one purpose: overwhelming military capability. "Welcome aboard the UEDF diplomatic vessel Deterrence," Captain Santos announced as they were escorted through corridors lined with what appeared to be weapon systems. "Admiral Chun will meet with you shortly." The conference room was starkly functional, with no decorative elements or comfort considerations. Admiral Sarah Chun entered wearing what was clearly military dress uniform, accompanied by several other humans who radiated the same professional competence. "Speaker Vorthak," Admiral Chun began without preamble, "we have prepared a comprehensive briefing on human civilization, military capabilities, and diplomatic expectations. This briefing is necessary because our initial analysis suggests that galactic civilizations operate under assumptions that do not apply to us." She activated a holographic display that showed the Sol system in detail. Humanity achieved spaceflight approximately 100 Earth years ago. In that time, we have established industrial facilities throughout our solar system and developed military technologies based on principles that galactic civilizations appear to have abandoned. The display zoomed in on massive orbital installations around every planet and moon in the system. Our entire civilization is organized around what we call total defense doctrine. Every human facility can function as a military installation if necessary. Every civilian vessel carries military-grade weaponry. Every citizen receives combat training as part of standard education. Vorthak's crystalline form flickered with confusion patterns. But why? What threats required such extensive militarization? Our planet's history includes thousands of years of warfare between human factions, Admiral Chun explained matter-of-factly. We learned that peace requires the ability to deter aggression through overwhelming defensive capability. When we achieved spaceflight, we applied these same principles to our expansion into space. But surely now that you have encountered galactic civilization, you can abandon such extreme measures? Vorthak suggested hopefully. Admiral Chin's expression did not change. "Speaker Vorthak, your galactic civilization included a member empire that attacked our homeworld without warning or provocation, with the clear intention of conquering our planet and subjugating our species. This empire had successfully conquered 47 other worlds using identical tactics, and the galactic community did nothing to stop them." The words hung in the air like an indictment. "From our perspective," Admiral Chun continued, "this suggests that the galactic community either cannot or will not prevent acts of genocide among its members. Therefore, we must assume that our security depends entirely on our own capabilities." "What are your terms for peace?" Vorthak asked quietly. "We don't want peace," Admiral Chun replied simply. "We want security. And security requires changes to how the galactic community operates." Admiral Chun activated a new series of holographic displays that filled the conference room with detailed schematics and star charts. Speaker Vorthak and his delegation studied the information with growing alarm as they realized the scope of human preparation. "These are our security requirements," Admiral Chun announced, gesturing to the displays. "We have identified 17 galactic civilizations that have engaged in unprovoked conquest campaigns within the past 1,000 rotations. Each of these civilizations will submit to mandatory military inspections and agree to binding non-aggression protocols." Ambassador Zekskari's mandibles clicked frantically. "Admiral, you cannot impose requirements on the entire galactic community. The Galactic Council has existed for millions of rotations. We have established laws, traditions, diplomatic procedures. And yet," replied Captain Santos, "these laws and traditions allowed the Kethmaran Empire to conduct systematic genocide across 47 star systems without intervention. Your diplomatic procedures clearly do not provide adequate protection for inhabited worlds." Admiral Chun touched a control, and the display showed detailed surveillance data from dozens of star systems. We have spent the past several rotations gathering intelligence on galactic military capabilities and governmental structures. Our analysis indicates that the current galactic order prioritizes stability over justice and trade relationships over protection of civilian populations. Speaker Vorthax, crystalline form pulsed with indignant patterns. The Galactic Council has maintained peace between thousands of civilizations for eons. Our systems may not be perfect, but they have prevented large-scale conflicts. They have prevented conflicts between major powers, Admiral Chen corrected. They have not prevented major powers from conquering and subjugating smaller civilizations. The difference is significant. She gestured to another display, showing what appear to be construction projects throughout human space. Humanity will be establishing monitoring stations in strategic locations throughout this galactic region. These stations will track military movements and investigate reports of unprovoked attacks on civilian populations. You cannot simply establish military installations in sovereign territory, Vorthak protested. We are not asking permission, Captain Santos replied calmly. We are informing you of our intentions as a courtesy. However, civilizations that cooperate with our security protocols will find the process considerably less disruptive. The room fell silent as the implications sank in. The humans were not negotiating. They were dictating terms to the galactic community. What you are describing is an ultimatum, Council Member Yolandra said quietly. You are demanding that the galactic community restructure itself according to human preferences, backed by the threat of military action. Admiral Chen nodded. That is an accurate assessment. However, we prefer to view it as offering the galactic community an opportunity to evolve beyond the current system that permits genocide as an acceptable form of expansion. Ambassador Zexkari leaned forward desperately. Admiral, surely reasonable accommodation can be reached. The Kethmoran Empire can provide reparations, accept restrictions on military activities, submit to monitoring. But what you're proposing would destabilize the entire galactic order. The galactic order that allowed your empire to conduct genocide campaigns. Captain Santos asked pointedly. We will dismantle our conquest fleets, Zexkari continued frantically. We will accept human observers, pay compensation to affected worlds, submit to whatever restrictions you require. But please do not force a confrontation with the entire galactic community. Admiral Chun studied the ambassador for a long moment. Ambassador, your willingness to negotiate is noted and appreciated. However, the fundamental issue remains. We cannot trust our security to a system that has already demonstrated its willingness to allow aggressive conquest when it suits larger political interests. She activated another display showing human fleet positions throughout nearby space. Humanity possesses sufficient military capability to enforce our security requirements with or without galactic cooperation. We would prefer cooperation, as it would be less disruptive to existing civilizations. But cooperation is not required for us to proceed. Speaker Vorthak's form flickered through several color patterns before settling on one that indicated deep thought. Admiral Chun, if we were to propose reforms to the Galactic Council's charter, modifications to our intervention protocols, stronger protections for civilian populations, would this satisfy your security concerns? That would be a positive first step, Admiral Chen acknowledged. However, reforms would need to be accompanied by enforcement mechanisms that ensure compliance. We have observed that galactic civilizations tend to honor agreements only when it is convenient to do so. Enforcement mechanisms, such as human monitoring stations with authority to investigate potential violations, rapid response capabilities to intervene in conquest campaigns, and clear consequences for civilizations that choose to ignore the new protocols. Captain Santos added, we are also requiring mandatory technology sharing for defensive capabilities. Civilizations that lack the ability to defend themselves against conquest campaigns will receive human assistance in developing appropriate deterrent systems. The delegation exchanged alarmed glances. The humans were not just demanding changes to galactic law. They were offering to fundamentally alter the balance of power that had existed for millions of years. And if the Galactic Council refuses these requirements? Fuatak asked quietly. Admiral Chen's expression remained unchanged. Then, the Galactic Council will become irrelevant. Humanity will establish bilateral security agreements with individual civilizations and enforce anti-genocide protocols independently. The Council can continue to exist for trade regulation and cultural exchange, but it will no longer have authority over matters of military security. The silence stretched for several minutes as the Galactic delegation processed the magnitude of what was being proposed. Finally, Speaker Fuatak spoke. We will need time to present these proposals to the full Council and consult with member civilizations. Understood, Admiral Chen replied. You have 30 rotations to provide a formal response. During this period, human monitoring systems will remain active, and any civilizations that initiate conquest campaigns will be subject to immediate intervention. As the Galactic delegation prepared to leave, Ambassador Zex Carey turned back to Admiral Chen. Admiral, may I ask why your species is willing to take responsibility for galactic security? What do you gain from preventing conflicts that do not directly threaten your homeworld? Admiral Chen paused at the doorway. Ambassador, our species learned long ago that security is not a zero-sum game. A galaxy where conquest and genocide are accepted as normal inevitably becomes a galaxy where every civilization must prepare for total war. We prefer a galaxy where civilizations can focus on exploration, scientific advancement, and cultural development without constantly watching for invasion fleets. She looked directly at each member of the delegation. We are offering the galactic community the same protection we provide for ourselves, the security to live and grow without fear of unprovoked attack. The choice of whether to accept this offer rests with you. As the galactic delegation departed, they carried with them the knowledge that the galaxy had fundamentally changed. Humanity had introduced concepts of accountability and enforcement that would either reform galactic civilization or replace it entirely. The age of conquest by stronger civilizations was ending, whether the galaxy was ready or not.